tuned for the Joan Quinn Profiles. As an editor for Andy Warhol's Interview, the Los Angeles Herald-Examiner, LA Style, and Detour magazines, Joan covered the social set, the Hollywood hotshots, the international art scene, the mysteries of food, the excitement of travel, and the fabulous world of fashion. Joan continues to find creative people on the cutting edge who make things happen. Here's Joan Quinn.
Hi, I'm Joan Quinn, and welcome to the Joan Quinn Profiles. Our guests today are vocalist Mariam Matossian and actor Mike Bunin. Vocalist Mariam Matossian was born and raised in Vancouver, British Columbia, and graduated from the University of British Columbia in Canada. Her songs have been aired on Canadian national radio, and her work was nominated in 2008 for a Canadian Folk Music Award, as well as a Western Canadian Music Award. Did you study music at the university?
I actually didn't.
Oh, where did you study music?
Well, what I did is I was always loved singing ever since I was a little girl. And so while some people might go running as their stress release, I would take voice lessons. So I studied with a private instructor, and his name is George Cotton, an amazing teacher, and I just kept up singing with him in that way. So it was private instruction.
Was there a musical family? Did you have a musical family?
I sure did, yes.
Maybe that's where the roots go back.
Yes. My grandmother loved to sing. I never had the chance to meet my grandmother, but I was named for her. Her name was also Mariam, and so she sang. She taught my mom and my aunt. So my mom sings, my aunts sing. Very musical family. My grandfather played doumbek. So
what's a doumbek?
A doumbek is a Middle Eastern drum.
So it's just a drum. And
yes.
So would he play with your mother singing or no?
They would when they were little, because he used to play in a band.
Oh,
and
he did.
Yeah.
So they're not musical in the sense that they play instruments, your mother, but she sang.
She sang. Singing was the big thing.
And then why didn't you study music in university?
You know, I wanted to, and I think part of it was my parents were like, when they're like, you have to study something more academic, there's not going to be money in the arts or whatever.
Right.
So, but at the same time, they encouraged me to keep up my singing on the side.
And then what were you singing in your singing lessons?
Oh, everything.
Opera, pop?
Yes, I mostly would train with opera, because my teacher is an opera teacher. That's what he sang. But then he loved the Armenian folk songs.
How did he know them?
Because of me. We would have recitals and he'd go, what do you want to sing? And I'd usually pick an aria, like an Italian, and then I'd go, George, is it all right if I also sang this Armenian folk song? And he loved it, and I would introduce more and more to him, and he just loved them.
And then when you brought that music to him, or when you brought that song, did you bring the music? Because the background music is what's important too, isn't it?
Yes, I did. And we would play it together and study it together and just have so much fun.
So describe what an Armenian folk song is.
Let's see. Well, Armenian folk songs, when you look at the lyrics, so much of it is either about the tantalizing effects of love, or about the pain of being separated from the homeland. So many of our songs are about that, and just comparing that pain to being separated from your beloved.
So where is the list of folk songs? How does it get passed down? Because usually folk music isn't recorded somewhere or written down for you to see.
Right. A lot of it, honestly, is passed down within families. Like, the reason I sing the folk songs that I do is because these are the songs that my grandmother grew up with. And, after the genocide, she was a genocide survivor, and then she passed them on to my mom, and then my mom passed them on to me. And
well, when you sing them, do you reinterpret them? Do you change the words?
I don't change the words. What I do is I add to the songs. So I've added bridge sections, I've added new verses.
But you don't change the work.
I don't change the actual actual words of the song, but I'll add to it.
And then how do you research other songs like that? Do you go to other families?
I do. And then oftentimes what happens is at the end of a concert, people will come up to me and say, I want you to sing this song next. Right? And so they'll offer me songs. Do you know what I mean?
Really?
Yes.
From their
Yes.
family or
Yes.
from a different section of Armenia? Or
It could be either way, just songs that they remember their grandmother singing to them, and they're like, it would be so beautiful, Mariam, if you sang this one. And I'd go, all right. And if I like it, I'll add it onto the list.
So what you're doing are Armenian folk songs.
Yes.
But does that apply to other ethnic?
In terms of the tradition?
Yes.
I'm sure it's the same, where it's passing down of the beauty of the culture from one family to the next, from one generation to the next.
So when did you decide that you should start singing professionally?
Good question. I am a teacher. I taught grade 8 and 9 English.
So you did the right thing when you went to university.
I did, absolutely.
You can fall back on something.
And what I'd done is I'd taken some time off of teaching in order to go to Armenia. I wanted to work with the orphans there and the street children there. And when I went to Armenia, I had like a little demo of folk songs that I had recorded.
Oh, but from like your family folk songs.
Yeah. And so what I did is I took this demo with me and just was like, I wonder what people in Armenia are going to think of it. So there was one day where we were in the center where I was working, and we were having a party for the kids. And if you can picture it, these kids, they're all dancing around and we're having food, and these are the poorest of the poor children, But they needed some new music. And so I was like, I wonder if I should play my demo for them. But I didn't want them to know it was me, So I put in this music, and the kids just went, they just had this joyous look on their face. And they started dancing together, and we had made like a circle, and they said to me, who is this singer? And I said, I don't know, it's not important. They're like, but who is it? And then one of the boys figured out, he's like, that's you. And I said, shh, it doesn't matter. But when I saw the reaction of people to it, I was like, I should do something with this. And then I met Gor Mkhitaryan, who's a friend of mine, and he really encouraged me to keep on pursuing the music. So that's kind of how it started.
That's when it started, when you went to Armenia?
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty amazing, isn't it? Because you were singing those songs before, and you'd known them all your life.
Well, people would always tell me, you've got to do something more with your singing. And I'd go, okay. Or I would just get nervous about it, and I'd go, maybe, I don't know. But I think when I was in Armenia, just being there and seeing the reaction and realizing how much I love to sing.
Well, the music is great to dance, because you do the circle dances with it,
Yes,
right? Even
yes.
though when you do the Armenian circle dance, maybe you don't know the words, or maybe you just know the melodies, but this has the words to it as well.
Yes.
So tell us about Gor Mkhitaryan, because you are performing with him.
Yes, I am, and he has always been a good friend. We've kept in touch all these years.
He's a singer, obviously.
He's a singer. He's a singer-songwriter, and I met him in Armenia, and I was at some of his first shows when he was starting to do his more solo work, and I remember the buzz and the excitement there, and so I get to perform with him, and we've been talking about performing together for a couple of years now, and finally it's coming together.
And that performance is at Zipper Hall in Los Angeles, across the street from Disney Hall.
Exactly.
It's the Colburn School. It's a wonderful venue. And do you bring your own musicians with you?
For this particular event, we are working with local musicians here, and they've been wonderful.
Well, what do you do when you make, this is your first CD?
Yes, it is.
So where'd you get the instrumentalists to do this?
That's my band. My producer, I first met my producer, his name is Adam Popowitz, and he introduced me to my percussionist, Elliot Polsky, and Elliot introduced me to Gord Gurdina. So it was just within the group, and those guys have become my band, and they've all played on the album.
But they're not Armenian. It's
No.
not an Armenian band.
No,
How do they know
no.
how to play the music?
Oh, they just fell in love with it. We'd go into the studio, and I would sing the songs, and they just loved the music. They thought it was beautiful, and they learned it, and they bring such depth to it because they've played in all sorts of other traditions as well. And so it's just fabulous.
So you're a storyteller as well as a writer.
Yes.
When you get on stage, do you tell the story of your song?
I do. I mostly try to really honor my grandmother, and I tell her story as a genocide survivor and just as a woman of hope who sang. I like to just interweave her life story with the songs.
And your second CD is
Yes.
In the Light.
Yes.
And tell us a little bit about that.
This album is very special to me. It was recorded in the months before I got married.
So both of these are before you got married.
Yes, and it was just an intensely emotional time. Here I am planning for my wedding, and at the same time recording an album. And there's another reason why this album is very special is I have some original songs on there that I wrote. And it came together wonderfully.
I think one of the great songs I was telling my daughter was about Yaman. Is that on this album?
Dile Yaman.
Yes, tell us about that.
Yes.
What does that mean?
Dile Yaman is like a term of endearment. It's one of our probably most sacred songs in the Armenian culture, where it's just expressing the pain of being separated from Armenia. And it's a real emotional song to sing and perform live.
Yeah, it sounds wonderful. Now, you also have written original music for Araz Artinian, who is a wonderful independent filmmaker. Tell us a little bit about that.
Araz and I, we met in Armenia. She was getting ready to shoot for another movie. We were like the only two Canadians in Armenia.
She's from Montreal,
yes,
right?
she is. And she's just become a great friend. And then when she was getting ready for her movie, she wanted some music. And she asked if she could use one of our songs, and we were like, of course. And we've kept in touch, and we have similar passions. When we get together, it's like two sisters.
She's
talking.
fabulous.
Yes.
What other influences do you have in your music before we leave?
You know, I love listening to world music. I love listening to Lorena McKennitt. I love listening to Latin music and music from just other cultures and classical music. I think all of those come into play. Because I was born in Canada. You know, I wasn't born in Armenia, so all of that comes in when I sing.
And when you sing, we listen.
Thank you, Joan.
Thank you, Mariam, for being with us
Thank
today.
you so much.
And don't go away. We'll be right back with actor Mike Bunin. Hi, I'm Joan Quinn, and welcome back to the Joan Quinn Profiles. I'm here with actor Mike Bunin, who was born in Virginia and as a teenager moved to Las Vegas. He graduated from the University of Las Vegas, and he's played this major role of Kenny Morituri. Oh, Morituri, thank you, in the TBS cable show My Boys. You've seen him in film. He was in The Soloist, and you've seen him in other TV sitcoms. So, Mike, what were you doing in Las Vegas?
Well, you know, we moved there. I was actually 12 when we moved there, so I was growing up like any other kid would in Las Vegas. I mean, I went to junior high, high school, college, all there.
Did you grow up in the casinos?
I got thrown out of a few of them while growing up. Yeah, I certainly was.
I think there was a story about your father teaching you to play poker or something like that.
Yeah, you know, my father was a card player. Always.
But he didn't work in the casino.
No. My father was a businessman. Had a few different businesses growing up, home improvement business, stuff like that. But on the side, as a sort of not just an activity, but a way to make extra cash, he taught us how to play cards. And,
oh, he did.
And he really taught us as a game of skill. So we all, about the age of 18 or 19, sort of got to sit down with him and taught us the game and told us never to make a living doing it, but always go out and make extra cash doing it.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
So he didn't send you into the casinos. Or did you ever think of working as a card dealer?
Never wanted to work as a dealer because I felt I could Well, I knew I could make
You
more
could
money
make-
as a player.
So he really taught you well.
Yes.
Well, then when did acting come into your life?
I was in college, actually. I was a freshman. And a girl that I had a crush on asked me if I wouldn't mind taking an acting class with her, and that's what started
this
that.
story.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So many guys have come on and said, "Oh, I was following a girl into acting
Yeah,
school."
I did. I followed her right into acting class. She was done after the first class, but I stayed in the theater department the rest of my time in college.
And you made a career of it.
Yes.
And then how did you make the career in Las Vegas? What did you do? Did you take acting classes there?
I did. I was in the theater department at UNLV,
Yeah.
Nevada, Las Vegas. And, you know, like pretty much anybody else that's doing theater, you are working 1-2 jobs on the side, trying to pay for your bills while doing theater that doesn't pay. So I did a good, probably about 6 years of theater in Las Vegas.
You did? Do they have a small theater?
They do. They actually have a much bigger theater community now. In fact, the art community is growing in general. There's a First Fridays downtown. The first Friday of every month is a lot of theater, a lot of poetry, a lot of painting, stuff like that. So the community's grown quite a bit.
I know the Cultural Center. I went to an art show there. It's beautiful. That
Yes.
cultural. So they have theater there, don't they?
They
have
do.
A theater. Yeah, that's great.
They do. It was a very small theater scene when I was going to college and doing plays either at UNLV or across the street at the old Cafe Copio, places like that.
Oh, that
But
one.
now places have really started to support, and theaters have opened up, the Asylum Theater over the years, stuff like that. It's a bigger community.
Did you do stand-up?
I never did any stand-up. I do. I've been performing with an improv troupe for many years.
You have done that.
Yeah, and I studied a little bit in Chicago with the Improv Olympic here in LA, which is where I've performed for the last 10 years.
Oh, you have?
Yeah,
Oh, well, that's great because that keeps you on your toes, doesn't it?
absolutely.
How do you react in those kind of situations?
It's funny. My friends often tease me that that I find high-risk situations relaxing between poker and improv, because I prefer to get in front of an audience, take a suggestion, and we do a long form. So we take one suggestion and then we do a 40-minute show straight.
Where is that Olympic improv?
The Improv Olympic is in Hollywood here. It's on Hollywood Boulevard,
Oh, it is.
6366 Hollywood
Oh,
Boulevard.
it is.
Yes.
So are you there all the time, or in between being on the show?
In between, starting in February, I'm going to be there on Wednesday nights with a new troupe.
Oh, well, that's good. So what kind of training did you need for improv?
Well, you know, improv, much like any sort of acting, it requires training, but it's a style of acting. Sure as if you're doing Shakespeare or Brecht, there's a particular style to that. When you are performing at an improv theater, you need to sort of know the rules of improv and study and learn them.
Yeah, what are they?
Compared
to theater.
Compared to theater, well, you know, in comparison to theater, what they have in common is no matter whether there's a script or not, you are making eye contact, you're listening, you're driving an action, and hopefully being interesting to the people that are in the audience, giving them a story to watch and participate in.
No matter what you say.
No matter what you say, whether there's a script or not. But the tools that help you get there are simple acting tools, the making of eye contact, listening, honestly responding, but then learning not to deny people's actions. Also learning, for example, not to be too technical, but in a scene, if I know that you have a simple goal of trying to get a hug out of me, I should provide an obstacle that makes it harder for you to get that, as opposed to just walking over and hugging you.
Well, how do you remember all that stuff when you're there and you have no script?
You sort of throw it all away and you just go.
And you just go.
Yeah.
When you played this role of Kenny, tell us a little bit about that character.
Kenny is a guy who very loyal to his friends. I think Kenny's the kind of guy that wouldn't want to go off to a movie by himself because he's afraid he might miss something with his buddies. He's just really he's the guy that always wants to be included, always wants to hang out. It's a very fun role to play, and the show is very fun.
Does he have a beard?
Kenny doesn't have a beard, no. Kenny's not as lazy as I am.
So he doesn't have a beard.
He doesn't have a beard in his off time, no.
What else? Did that open doors for you, being on that show?
Sure. You know, I've been out in LA for about 11 years now, and I've been very fortunate as an actor. I've worked steady the whole time I've been out here.
So when you came from Las Vegas, did you get an agent right away? Is that it?
I did. I got very lucky and got a commercial agent right away.
Oh,
and
so
then,
you made commercials.
And then did a lot of commercials for many years.
Without a beard?
Without a beard. Some with a beard.
Like what kind of commercials?
Oh, gosh. You know, I hate to say pick a product. I've been very fortunate with them.
Is that right?
Windex, beer commercials, car commercials.
Really?
Animals,
and
snacks.
Why do you think you were so successful?
I think that I fit. look at me. I'm bald, but I got hair. I'm skinny, but I'm fat. I'm like every man. I think if companies look at me and they feel safe putting their product in my hand.
Like he could be.
Yeah, he's pretty much now. He's gonna insult a smaller majority of people than he's not going to insult by holding our product. I think that's what makes me safe in commercials.
That's really great. So you had a big career doing that.
Yes, and it was fun. And then along, the commercial career was nice as an actor because it allowed me the freedom to always be on stage at the Improv Olympic, always be preparing and auditioning. And so over the years, after X amount of guest spots here and there, I got lucky and booked a show.
Well, what do you? Then that was the show,
Yeah.
My Boys.
Yes.
But you were doing other sitcoms. You've done Scrubs.
Sure.
You've done CSI.
Yes.
How do you do what kind of characters do you play in those?
It's funny. On Scrubs was a fun role to play. They had me playing a person who, and it's an actual ailment, a person who believes that he's dead. So it was a very fun character to play, to walk around all day and just talk as if I was dead.
Oh, that was a good role. And then
CSI was fun. CSI is actually the creator of the show, Anthony Zeiker, and I went to high school together.
Is that right?
Yeah, and so Anthony had given me a call and said, "Hey, we're doing something on poker, and I want you to come in and talk with the writers." And then, of course, I had 3 nice scenes on the show. He's a great guy, and it was a fun show to do.
Oh, so that was good.
Yeah.
But you don't play the villain or the bad guy or.
Not too often. I've auditioned. I've noticed that as I get a little older, I start to audition for those roles a little more. Yeah.
A little sinister.
Yeah, maybe. Yes. And so Kenny on My Boys is, I think he's a fairly sweet kind of character. So I don't know if a lot of casting directors look and say, let's put a knife in this guy's hand and let him go. But lately, I seem to be getting these types of auditions.
So Kenny could be like Mr. Sweetie with something hidden underneath.
That's exactly right. You might not want to open Kenny's refrigerator.
Exactly. So, and then did you do something, a show called Las Vegas?
I had a small little role. Yes.
You did poker. You played a poker player and
well, what's funny about I take a lot of guff from my friends in Vegas, because when I was on the show Las Vegas, I was playing a delivery guy, and they were like, "That's the best. You're from the city. You've been a bartender. You've been a poker player. You're playing a delivery guy." I told them, I said, "Guys, I'm an actor."
You didn't play a delivery boy before,
no.
right?
So I said, it's a new role.
So, and then the Las Vegas show?
That's the one I was saying. That's the one.
That
yes.
role?
Yeah.
But the other one, the
other one, a little bit poker, a little bartending. Yes, all that was included.
He knew what you did. Well, what about this role that you played in The Soloist?
The Soloist was a fun role to play. I was playing the public relations director for the LA Philharmonic, and in the middle of the movie.
Is that right?
Yeah. So in the movie is a sort of an important scene where Jamie Foxx's character is being brought in to watch a rehearsal, but his character hasn't been in a while, to listen to music and watch. So it was a fun scene to do. It was actually really fun to be in a scene with Robert Downey Jr. and Jamie Foxx. I mean, these are 2 great actors.
Did you do it on location?
We did. It was shot here at Disney Hall downtown. Yeah.
You did it at Disney Hall?
Yeah.
Was that incredible?
It really was, because it was actually my first time being in there, and I got sort of I had a backstage pass in a sense. I was all over that place, and I got to talk to many of the musicians. It was really a lot of fun.
Yeah, I was going to say, how did you research that role? Just what you're saying, I guess. No?
Because I was playing a real character. His name's Adam Crane, and Adam really is the public relations director. I met him, which was sort of interesting. Because of that, I sort of just online researched the Philharmonic a little bit, asked some friends that knew about it, and then just figured once I got there and I met this guy, any sort of background that I could find on it, if anything extra comes out, great, but if not, hopefully he won't hate the guy that's playing him.
That's right. So you had to say a real live person. That's what's always difficult, isn't it?
It is. It's sort of odd, That's really the first time I think I've played somebody that I've met.
Well, the hall is fabulous. It's Frank Gehry designed it.
Yes.
And it's such a pleasure to go there and listen to the music.
It's wonderful.
Did you get to do any of that?
What was nice is in the scene you have the LA Philharmonic on stage rehearsing. So I spent 2 days actually watching them play, and it was really quite nice.
That's fabulous,
Yeah.
fabulous. So what can you do with your gambling background? Where else can we send you?
I enjoy a couple of private poker games a week, and that's the way to do it.
On the stage? Do you do stage still?
I do. It has been a little while. I'm supposed to go back to Las Vegas and do a play at UNLV. It's just a matter of scheduling and what they want me to do. But the answer is, for UNLV, the answer is always yes.
Oh, I see. So you'll go back to the university and
I will.
do something there.
I'd like to. It's always a good excuse to go home. It's where I cut my teeth, so to speak, on the stage. So it's a fun place to perform.
Have you directed?
You know, in college, just a little bit. I'm not an actor who secretly wants to direct. I'm an
Most
actor
of them
who,
do,
Yeah,
right?
no, I'm an actor who not so secretly just wants to act.
And what about the basketball team at your school?
Fantastic.
I know.
My sophomore year, I'm telling you, best college team in the history of college basketball.
You're an actor. Can't you be a basketball player?
Ooh, that's my skills would have to be good because I'd have to act a lot taller than I am.
Well, we're so happy that you were with us today.
Thank you.
And I guess we can't see you on the basketball field.
No, you'll be
but
able
we'll
to see
you.
me on TBS in March, where season 3 of My Boys will be beginning then. We start shooting in January, and we'll be back.
That's perfect. And I thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you.
And thank you for being with us at the Joan Quinn Profiles. And we'll see you next time. Keep writing. Email me at jaquinn1@aol.com. Or you can continue to write at 777 South Figueroa, 44th floor, Los Angeles 90017. And we'll see you next time on the Joan Quinn Profiles.